is a better use of your energy to spend your time worrying and being frustrated and being exasperated and trying to figure it out all on your own? Or is a better use of that energy to say, who do I know? Who could I reach out to? Where could I find more answers than I currently have? Welcome to Your Business is Not Your Boss. I am your host, Geoff Welch, and I help small business owners overcome overwhelm and replace overthinking with intentional action. What is up? Welcome to episode 41 of Your Business is Not Your Boss. I am your host and small business coach, Geoff Welch, and today we're going to dive into a topic that I think has a lot of universal application. I think it's something that you deal with. I'm gonna guess you deal with this thing, and it centers on the idea of, we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes our imaginations get the best of us when we reach the edge of our understanding, right? And this happens in small business all the time. So I got a story that I want to tell you to kick this off. But first, before I get into this story about my daughter, I do want to remind you about the anti-overwhelm playbook that is available free to you today at geoffwelch.com/playbook. If you're feeling stuck, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like you can't make the progress on the priorities that matter most to you, you need to grab this now. I promise it's going to change your relationship with your business starting today. It's a quick read. You can get through it in probably 5-10 minutes. But the application of the things in there will fundamentally change your relationship with your business starting today. Okay, so story time. Story time. There is nothing better than a good story. We'll see if this is a good one or not. Once upon a time, that's how all good stories start, is that right? Once upon a time, my daughter developed this rash. And so my wife, Nicole, and I, we have one daughter. We tapped out after one kid. We were like, this is all we're equipped to handle. This is all we're rated for. And so everything we experienced with her was a first and kind of a last as well, right? We didn't get to be smarter with a second kid, or maybe even smarter with a third. My sister has 3. My wife's brother has 3. So we have lots of nieces and nephews that we've got to see go through these different stages. But it's different when it's yours, and you've got to make decisions. And so she starts developing this rash. And over the span of a handful of days, it's getting worse, not better. We try to tend to not just be reactionary, and we take a little bit of a wait and see approach. But it was unusual. It was something that was not normal, and it starts getting kind of crusty. I don't want to be too gross, but eventually it starts to bleed, and it becomes pretty clear that we need to go find some help, right? Because my mind is now going to is this like horribly contagious? Is this something that, what if it leaves marks on her that will always be there, right? Like, you don't want to wait too long, and now your kid is subject to some lifelong, thing because mom and dad didn't think it was a big deal. Because mom and dad don't know what they don't know. Is it like some sort of flesh-eating skin thing? I tell you, like, I'm my own personal WebMD, right? WebMD, I'm pretty sure like all results lead to some horrible terminal illness. I'm pretty sure that's what everything is. Oh, you have a bruise on the back of your leg. You're going to die tomorrow. That's how I perceive WebMD to be. And I certainly, I'm a fatalistic hypochondriac. I do not think that I'm sick all the time. I do not feel sick all the time. Like, I'm not worried. I'm not a germaphobe. I'm not any of that. But anything that I'm concerned might be a little bit wrong will absolutely kill me. That's where my mind is at, right? Oh, well, I must. That's as I get older, that's a strange pain. I hope I'm not dying. That kind of thing, right? So anyway, this situation is unnerving, and my mind immediately starts racing into all these different, what are these possibilities? I didn't go straight to the internet because that will only make it worse for me. I have a very vivid imagination. And because of this, I've read lots of articles about how the brain really does have a difficult time separating the reality of the world we're living in and a well-crafted, well-imagined thing. The brain starts to react as though this imagined thing is a real, like a real thing in the world, right? You start to get anxious, you start to have these sort of physical reactions. So I don't need WebMD or the internet, influencing me any further than I'm already influencing myself. So we go to the doctor, and we're a little anxious, we're a little afraid, we're a little unnerved, and lo and behold, 90 seconds in, he says, "It's this. Here's a cream. Go pick this up at the pharmacy. Give it a few days, and you'll be fine." At which point, it's like, oh, okay, we're done. I mean, I'm glad there was something wrong. I'm glad she needed some sort of treatment, right? And it wasn't just like we were overreacting. But my wild imagination was stopped in its tracks by somebody who was like, I actually know what this is. You've been dreaming about what it could be, right? You've been worried about all these possibilities. I know what it is. Here's what you do about it, because I'm a doctor and I've learned all this stuff. And everything's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. I think there is a parallel, maybe a strong parallel, between this and a lot of what small business owners deal with. When confronted with obstacles and opportunities that push us to the edge of our knowledge, right? Not just like, oh, something cool happened and I know all about how it works and I can't wait to get started on it. Not just there's a problem, I've seen this before though, we're going to have to, deal with this stuff and we'll get through it. But those things, when they push us to the edge of like, I haven't seen this before, I don't know what this is. Someone is asking me for something that I've never been asked for before. They're asking me to do something that I've never done before. They're asking me to operate in a way that I haven't operated in the past. Or there's an opportunity that I never expected something like that would show up on my doorstep. I really don't know how to navigate this. We can get overwhelmed by our imagination. We can get overwhelmed by how much we don't know about what's going on and about what's happening. And it is amazing to me how having a conversation with somebody who's further down the road, somebody who's experienced that thing, someone who is an expert in a way that we're not an expert, can immediately reveal a pathway we didn't see forward. So for my daughter, it was like, yeah, here's the cream you need. Just apply it regularly and it's going to be okay. As opposed to, it's a flesh-eating bacteria, we're going to have to isolate her and enjoy these final days together. Like that. Those are two very different things. But in order to see the pathway, I can't imagine a pathway, and in a lot of cases, that isn't born out of what I've already known or experienced. I need someone else who can see differently than me, who knows more than me, to be able to say, actually, over here, you're just going to want to take a left right here. That's where you're headed. And I can waste a lot of energy being worried about something, being frustrated about something, trying to devise some ridiculous way to deal with the thing that is in front of me, when the right person with the right insight can show a simpler way. So I wonder, what I'm posing to you is a better use of your energy to spend your time worrying and being frustrated and being exasperated and trying to figure it out all on your own? Or is a better use of that energy to say, who do I know? Who could I reach out to? Where could I find more answers than I currently have? So as a parent with a child who is not well, The doctor is an obvious pathway, right? That's a simple kind of thing. Sometimes it's a little more challenging in business. You're scanning your network. You're thinking of like, who do I know who, right? Who do I know who will have this information or who will know the person I need to know? To me, though, that pathway is a much more effective use of that energy than worrying, than imagining a bunch of horrible outcomes, even than trying to just solve for it on our own. Sometimes we want to be pretty cool, right? We want to be like, we did it all ourselves. We want to be able to demonstrate that we can figure anything out. And sometimes we do that at great wasted energy, right? We didn't need to expend nearly as much energy and effort as we did because someone else could have told us an easier way, or they could have told us the way without us having to figure it all out on our own. I'm not saying it's bad to figure things out on your own. There certainly is a time and place for that. But I think there's also a time and place for saying, how do I find a shortcut for myself directly to the answer? And sometimes that shortcut means you got to pay somebody, right? Like I work with people all the time who are looking for a shortcut to solve their problems. I know I could figure this out in 6 months. I want to work with you so I can figure it out in 2. And then I can move on to bigger and better things. And it's worth it for them to say, let me put some money down on the counter here and solve this problem in 2 months, and then have 4 months to move on to the next things, right? To work on other stuff. Sometimes that shortcut is gonna mean we have to go outside of our comfort zone and look for an introduction or introduce ourselves to someone. There are certainly costs to those shortcuts. It's not just like we found a free pass necessarily, but if we can save time, if we can save our energy and put our energy towards the things that we're great at instead of figuring out, I don't need to become a doctor. There are a lot of people who have already done that I'm going to just trust them to be good at being doctors, so I don't need to become a doctor, right? I don't need to learn, I don't need to scour WebMD for every answer, which is, we'll leave that alone, right? So when you feel daunted, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel stuck, I hope you will look for experts around you who can illuminate your path. Sometimes we've got a flashlight that, shines a small light, and someone else has a big floodlight that can shine light, all around us. And we're looking at the path directly in front of us when over here is a solution that we couldn't see on our own. Over here is a pathway that we didn't know existed that would get us there faster, more effectively, less pain and suffering. Find those people who can illuminate your path. Your worst fears will likely be unfounded. I mean, I know that I can imagine some crazy stuff. I can come up with some really, really wild stuff. But I can't always see how I'm wrong from where I sit, right? I feel pretty right. I feel like I might be onto something, right? So here's the little. I mean, I think a rhyme is always a good way to remember something. When in doubt, reach out. When you don't know how to solve for a thing, when an opportunity shows up that you're like, I don't know what the solution is. Don't spend too much time internalizing that. When in doubt, reach out. When in doubt, find somebody who's further down the path. Find somebody who knows more about that thing than you know, and just ask some questions. If it comes to it, enlist somebody, right? Call for help, pay an expert, hire a professional to help you with those things. If you see that getting that solution is worth the cost, right? Paying for a doctor, far better than letting my daughter, bleed. That's a no-brainer for me. So in some of these situations, you're gonna if you really analyze it, you're gonna say, I'm gonna spend so much of my own time figuring this out. It's worth it to trade some of my money to have somebody else help me do it faster so that I'm not wasting my time figuring all of this stuff out. They can just tell me the answer. When in doubt, reach out. All right? If you're feeling stuck, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like you don't know what to do next, again, I think a great starting place is to go grab that anti-overwhelm playbook that I have on offer. It's completely free, and it will help you start to reframe your relationship with your business. Your business should be working for you, not the other way around, right? Your business should be creating outcomes that support the life and the lifestyle you want to live, not you feeding your business and being, subservient to it. And this is going to help you get out from under some of the overwhelm, really find a pathway to your priorities so that you can get more of what you want out of this deal. It's a great life. Small business ownership is fantastic, but man, it is not for the faint of heart, and it can roll over you if you're not paying attention. So this is just an opportunity to make sure that you're recalibrating and you're thinking about your business in terms of this is something that works for you. Okay? So you can grab that at geoffwelch.com/playbook, and I hope you will do that today. Before I go, do not forget, your business is not your boss.